It was a bright afternoon in Beverly Hills. The streets buzzed with luxury cars, high-end shoppers, and tourists snapping photos of celebrity hotspots. But for Jayden Carter, today wasn't just another day. It was a day his life and his business would take an unexpected turn. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you believe in standing up for justice. Stories like these deserve to be heard, and your support helps spread awareness. Now let's get into it. Jayden Carter was no ordinary entrepreneur. He had built his own streetwear empire from the ground up. Raised in South Central Los Angeles, he had seen struggle firsthand. Broken streetlights, liquor stores on every corner, police sirens at night. But Jayden refused to let his surroundings define him. From a young age, he had an eye for fashion. He wasn't just wearing clothes. He was making statements. The way he dressed turned heads. And people often asked where he got his outfits. At first, he would just smile and shrug. But then a thought hit him. Why wear someone else's brand when he could create his own? That thought changed everything. Jayden didn't come from money. His mother worked long hours as a nurse, and his father had been in and out of his life. If he wanted to start a business, he had to figure out on his own. So he did what any ambitious young man would do. He got creative. He took on odd jobs, mowing lawns, selling snacks at school, and even washing cars on weekends. Every dollar he made, he saved. At night, after finishing his homework, he would sit in his room, sketching out designs, clothing that wasn't just stylish, but meaningful. By the time he was 18, he had enough saved to get his first batch of T-shirts printed. They were simple, bold graphics, clean lettering, and the words Urban Kings across the chest. He wore his own designs everywhere he went. At parties, on the basketball court, even at the grocery store. And people noticed. Jayden didn't have the luxury of a storefront or even a website at first. What he had was a hustler spirit. He popped open the trunk of his old Honda Civic and sold shirts wherever he could. Outside concerts, barbershops, college campuses, anywhere with foot traffic. At first, sales were slow. Some people doubted him. Others told him streetwear was too competitive. But Jayden didn't listen. He knew he had something special. One day, a local rapper with a growing fan base spotted Jayden selling shirts outside a club. He liked the design and bought two on the spot. The next day, he wore one in an Instagram post, and everything changed. Jayden woke up to hundreds of notifications. People wanted to buy his shirts. His Instagram DMs were flooded. He scrambled to restock. His first batch sold out in 2 days. From that moment, Jayden's brand skyrocketed. He built an online store, learned marketing, and partnered with local influencers. Every dollar he made went back into the business. New designs, better materials, a more professional website. Urban Kings wasn't just a brand anymore. It was a movement. People resonated with it. Young men from neighborhoods like his saw themselves in the designs. The message was clear. You don't have to be born into wealth to be a king. Making it to Beverly Hills. After 5 years of grinding, the unthinkable happened. Jayden opened his first physical store. And not just anywhere, Beverly Hills. The land of high fashion, designer boutiques. The same streets where kids from his neighborhood felt unwelcome. Jayden knew what it meant to open a store here. It was a statement. His grand opening was packed. People came from all over Los Angeles. Influencers, rappers, athletes, even some Hollywood stars. The store was a success from day one. Jayden finally felt like he had made it, or so he thought. It started like any other day. The sun was shining over Beverly Hills, and the streets were bustling with tourists, luxury shoppers, and high-end cars. The city had an energy that made every day feel like a movie. Jayden pulled up in his matte black Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, its sleek body gleaming under the California sun. He parked right in front of his store, Urban Kings, a brand that had risen from the streets of South Central LA to make its mark in one of the wealthiest parts of the country. As he stepped out, heads turned, not just because of his car, but because of his presence. Dressed in one of his signature designs, a black hoodie with gold lettering spelling out King, he looked every bit the part of a successful entrepreneur. His long dreads framed his sharp features, and his arms, covered in intricate tattoos, told the story of his journey. This wasn't just a store to him. It was his legacy. The moment Jayden walked in, he felt something was off. The usual energy of the store was there. Customers browsing, employees helping them. But there was a tension in the air that he couldn't quite place. His employees greeted him with the usual respect, a mix of admiration and appreciation for the man who had built this empire from the ground up. Some of them had been with him since the early days, selling shirts out of his trunk. They knew what the store meant to him. He took a deep breath, soaking it all in. This was his dream realized. But then he saw Ryan. Ryan was a middle-aged white man, tall with neatly combed hair and a pressed dress shirt that made him look more suited for a law firm than a streetwear brand. Jayden had hired him because of his retail experience. He had worked at some high-end stores in Beverly Hills, and Jayden thought he could bring some polish to Urban Kings. But something had always felt off about Ryan. One day, Jayden walked into the store, checking inventory, when he heard Ray's voices at the front. "Sir, I need you to leave," Ryan's voice rang out. Jayden frowned. What was going on? He walked toward the front, expecting to see a difficult customer causing trouble. Instead, Ryan was standing in the middle of the store, arms crossed, staring at him. Jayden stopped in his tracks. "Wait, was Ryan talking to him?" "Excuse me," Jayden said, confused. Ryan's lips pressed into a thin line. "We don't allow loitering in here." "Loitering?" Jayden let out a small chuckle, thinking it was some kind of sick joke. "I own this place, Ryan." Ryan smirked, a smirk that made Jayden's blood run cold. "You own this place?" Ryan asked, his voice dripping with disbelief. "Nah, I don't think so. The real owner wouldn't dress like a thug." The words hit like a punch to the gut. The store fell silent. Employees stopped what they were doing. Customers glanced over, some whispering, others pulling out their phones. Jayden clenched his jaw. He refused to react with anger. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and scrolled to the store's business license, his name, clear as day, Jayden Carter, owner. He held it up to Ryan's face. "Read this." Ryan barely glanced at it before scoffing. "I don't care what's on your phone. Get out before I call security." A cold silence filled the store. Jayden's own manager was kicking him out. Before Jayden could react, Ryan motioned to security. Two guards, ones Jayden had hired, grabbed Jayden by the arms. Jayden tensed. "Let go of me." But the guards didn't. They hesitated, looking at Ryan, unsure what to do. Ryan's voice was firm. Escort him out. Humiliation burned in Jayden's chest. This was his store, his dream, and now he was being dragged out like a criminal. Customers recorded on their phones. Some whispered, others gasped, and a few even stepped in. "This is wrong," a young woman said. "Isn't he the owner?" someone else asked. Jayden didn't fight back. He didn't need to, because what Ryan didn't know was that Jayden wasn't just going to walk away. He was going to make sure Ryan regretted this moment for the rest of his life. Jayden didn't raise his voice. He didn't cause a scene. He simply looked Ryan in the eye and said, "Big mistake." Then he walked out. By the time Jayden got home, his phone was already blowing up. Someone in the store had recorded the entire thing. Ryan smirked, the guards dragging Jayden out, the humiliation of being kicked out of his own business. The video spread like wildfire across social media. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Everyone was talking about it. People were furious. How does a black man get kicked out of his own store? This is racism at its finest. Urban Kings is black-owned. Fire that racist manager now. The hashtag of banking's hashtag justice for Jayden and hashtag fire Ryan started trending. Within hours, the video had millions of views. Celebrities who had supported Urban Kings in the past, rappers, athletes, actors, started speaking out. One tweet from a well-known rapper sent shockwaves through the industry. At a Bankings is a brand for the culture. No way we letting this slide. Even major news outlets picked up the story. CNN, Bet, TMZ. Everyone wanted an interview. Jayden didn't respond yet. He had something bigger planned. Jayden woke up early. He wasn't just going back to his store. He was going back with power. He put on his sharpest suit, black with gold accents, the colors of Urban Kings. His dreads were neatly tied back, and his confidence was unshaken. He had fought too hard to let one racist manager take everything from him. He stepped outside to find a line of news reporters waiting for him. "Mr. Carter, do you have a response to what happened?" one asked, shoving a microphone toward him. Jayden just smiled. "You'll see soon enough." He got into his G-Wagon and drove straight to the store. When he arrived, the scene was electric. A crowd had gathered outside Urban Kings. Fans, supporters, activists, all standing in solidarity. Some held signs that read "Justice for Jayden" and "Black-owned means black-owned." His lawyer was already waiting, dressed sharp in a navy blue suit, holding a folder of legal documents. Jayden stepped out of his car, adjusted his suit jacket, and walked straight through the doors of his store, this time with cameras rolling. The moment Ryan saw him, his face turned pale. The cocky, arrogant smirk he wore yesterday, gone. The employees, some who had witnessed everything, cheered. Ryan tried to say something, but Jayden raised a hand. "Don't." He pulled out the folder, took out a termination letter, and placed it on the counter. "You're fired." Ryan's eyes widened. "You can't do this." Jayden chuckled, shaking his head. "I own this place. Remember?" Ryan stammered, looking around, but no one backed him up. Security, the same guards who had thrown Jayden out the day before, now stood beside him. Jayden turned to them, escorted him out. The irony was almost too perfect. Ryan protested, begged, even threatened legal action, but no one cared. As the guards led him to the door, the crowd outside erupted into cheers. Someone shouted, "How's it feel now, Ryan?" Ryan turned red with embarrassment as he was shoved out into the street, cameras flashing all around him. Jayden didn't waste another second thinking about him. Ryan was history. With Ryan gone, Jayden turned to his employees and smiled. "All right, back to business." The store roared back to life. That same day, Urban King's online store sold out of nearly everything. People wanted to show support. Sales skyrocketed to record-breaking numbers. Jayden's story wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. And the world had witnessed every moment of it. Jayden didn't just stop there. He knew that his experience wasn't unique. Black business owners have been fighting for space in luxury markets for decades. His story was just one of many, and he wasn't about to let it be swept under the rug. So he decided to turn his pain into power. Instead of simply celebrating his personal victory, he launched a campaign for Black-owned businesses in high-end spaces. He wanted Urban Kings to stand for something much bigger than just clothing. Jayden partnered with activists, influencers, and other Black entrepreneurs who had faced similar discrimination. He held a massive event at his store, a rally and networking event for minority-owned businesses in Beverly Hills. The energy that night was electric. Black business owners, artists, and designers filled the store, sharing their struggles and victories. People who had been ignored in the luxury fashion world were finally being seen. Jayden took the mic. "They told me I didn't belong here. They tried to push me out. But we're here and we're staying." The crowd erupted in applause. The event wasn't just symbolic. It was the beginning of a movement. Hashtag Black Luxury started trending, and celebrities began endorsing Black-owned brands, shifting conversations about diversity in fashion. And Ryan? He faded into the background, a forgotten lesson in what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. Jayden's story didn't just make waves. It transformed his entire life. Media outlets flooded his inbox. Forbes, GQ, Bet. Everyone wanted to hear his story. How did a Black entrepreneur not only survive racism in Beverly Hills, but flip the script entirely? He became a sought-after speaker in the fashion industry. He was invited to sit on panels about race and business ownership, using his platform to bring attention to discrimination in corporate spaces. At one event, a journalist asked him, "If you could say one thing to Ryan right now, what would it be?" Jayden didn't hesitate. "Thank you." The room went silent. Jayden smirked. "Because if he hadn't tried to push me out, I wouldn't have built something this big. Now, I'm not just running a store, I'm leading a movement." The audience exploded in applause. Meanwhile, Urban Kings was thriving. More investors took notice. And within a year, Urban Kings expanded to multiple locations across the country. The Beverly Hills store remained the flagship location, a powerful symbol of perseverance and victory. The store was no longer just a place to shop. It became a space for creators, entrepreneurs, and dreamers to connect. Jayden made sure to hire more black designers, stylists, and managers, ensuring that his success created opportunities for others. And Ryan? His life took a different turn. His actions had made headlines for all the wrong reasons. He struggled to find another job in retail. His name had been tarnished. Every time he applied for a new position, his past followed him. No business wanted the PR nightmare that came with hiring him. Ryan had let his bias destroy his career, while Jayden had used that moment to build an empire. A year later, on the anniversary of the incident, Jayden stood outside the Beverly Hills store, staring at the large gold-lettered sign, Urban Kings. He had won, not just for himself, but for every black entrepreneur who had ever been told they didn't belong. That night, he hosted a special event, inviting young black entrepreneurs to speak about their businesses and dreams. One young designer walked up to him, eyes shining with admiration. "I almost gave up," he admitted. "Then I saw your story. It showed me that we do belong in these spaces." Jayden smiled, clapping him on the back. "Keep pushing. If they try to shut the door on you, build your own." The movement wasn't stopping. Urban Kings was just getting started. If you believe justice was served, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories that deserve to be heard. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment below and tell us, what would you have done in Jayden's situation? And most importantly, if you stand against discrimination, share this video. Let's make sure the world never forgets stories like this.